Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and you better watch what you say about my car. She's real sensitive. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister, and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Has it ever occurred to you that part of being a parent is trying to kill your kids?
That was not in the books I read about parenting.
No, and I don't think it's in Christine, but I could be wrong.
We are dorking out about 1983's Christine. This one's been on the
16.
list. It's been on my list for a while as something I wanted to talk about because a couple years ago, my niece Lorelai got into horror movies, and we went and we saw like Hereditary and It and things like that. And the theater here in San Francisco was showing Christine, and I took her to see it, and it played so well with the crowd, and we had such a good time. And she said she whispered to me, "This isn't very scary." And then she totally got like a jump scare. Like there was like a thing that happened that jump scared her, and I laughed excessively long that she was scared by Christine. If you haven't seen Christine, it is based on the book by Stephen King. It's directed by John Carpenter. John Carpenter's rad, obviously. It stars Keith Gordon, who we just talked about in our Back to School episode, and John Stockwell. He's really cute.
Wow, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Alexandra Paul, Harry Dean Stanton, Roberts Blossom is in there.
Yes, again. Blossom again. Another Blossom sighting.
Kelly Preston shows up.
Adorable.
Everybody drink. I need to ask you first, because I know you love Stephen King. Have you read Christine?
Well, of course I did. Yeah.
Okay, because I haven't. I think I've only read Pet Sematary out of all of Stephen King's books, and that the book like fucked me up, and I was like, no thank you. And now I haven't read any other Stephen King, and like everyone's like, Pet Sematary, really? But it was Pet Sematary, and I haven't gone back and read any Stephen King, not even the one he wrote about writing, which is supposed to be amazing. I haven't even read that. Shame on me.
You know what? You should read that, actually.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put that out there. But yeah, I'm a Stephen King fan, and especially in the 80s, I was a kid, then teen, and I would read everything that came out from him. And these books were just like door stoppers, basically. I mean, you could put them in the back of your trunk if it's icy weather, and it'll give you some extra traction. He's verbose, being my point. I looked up my original copy of that I wrote 1983. I wrote in my scrawl when I used to be able to write cursive. And
oh my gosh, remember when that was a thing?
When that was a thing, and I'm like, oh my god, this thing's like 500 pages.
Wow.
And that was not a problem for me. I had plenty of time to read. Yeah.
My sister was a Stephen King fan, and I bought her whatever the latest Stephen King book was every Christmas. Like,
that's what my Christmas presents.
Yeah. She depended on it. Like, if there was a year I didn't do it, she's like, "What the fuck? Like, you're supposed to buy me." Yeah, asshole! It's your job to buy me the new Stephen King book. So that was. She told. By the way, we shared a room, so she would tell me I know all the stories. I just didn't read them. But, and I also did. You do a book versus movie about this one?
Many moons ago, and I honestly don't remember who it was with, because it was with like a guest star. It wasn't with my co-host for Book versus Movie. Doesn't like horror movies, so the Stephen King it needs to be more of the mellow side,
right?
Like Stand by Me, that kind of thing,
right? Okay, so if listeners are wanting like a full deep dive of like the difference, they should go back and find that episode, because we're really just going to talk about the movie. But
my 13-year-old brain just doesn't. That's when I started smoking weed. I don't remember much from it.
I get it.
I'll tell you this. They always have snappy characters with weird dialogue. Mm-hmm. There's some evil origin story.
Yes.
And there is an evil origin story with Christine. I do remember that there's like a reason why Christine, this this machine
Mhm.
has an evil spirit.
Yeah, okay. There,
I mean, yes, that is a thing.
the movie itself is it's got such a silly premise, right? It's the idea of the killer cars. So like the car is just like born bad in the
To the bone.
Yeah, bad to the bone. That's right. At the beginning of the movie, the car is like it takes off, it like crushes a man's hand with its hood. A man dies in the car. The car is just born bad. Like it's
Yeah, it doesn't have that original, which is good. It doesn't need
right.
an origin story. It just kind of dumps right into the story. And it has of course, it's a Stephen King book. It has a higher death count.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those like the parents die, everybody dies. Like there's a lot of stakes. You know, don't get too attached to people.
Yeah.
But you know, I loved all that shit, and I did see this movie in the theater. If you ask me,
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
I didn't see it in a theater, but I for sure like rented it at some point and watched it and liked it. And by the way, I still like it. Like,
yeah, it's great.
I think it's super entertaining. I mean, I have issues with it. There's things I would like to see in the movie that I don't get to see. And I'm like, that's, you know, but I like it the way it is as well. I think the movie is super interesting. And I think it's gotten more interesting to me as I've aged, as the movie's aged, because we're talking about Arnie, this character played by Keith Gordon, is so nerdy, so like a total dweeb, right? And to see him get toxic, basically.
He's an incel. He's like an incel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
with
this
a
is
hot girlfriend. I mean,
yeah, the movie like actually in that way I think ages better than a lot of other movies, because we see this kind of stuff now with people who are like quote unquote nice guys.
Yeah, we see the other side. Yeah.
Yeah. When you're a woman on the internet, you see a lot of quote unquote nice guys that become, incels basically. And that's what happens to Arnie. I think, I mean, just to jump right in, I think I would like it if we could see a little bit more of how Arnie transformed.
Yeah. There's
you know?
definitely more in the book. Arnie is this nerdy kid. He's very insecure. He gets picked on by bullies. His best friend is like the quarterback of the football team and super popular.
And he's super sweet to him, by the way. He's
very nice.
Yeah,
and
like,
there's some reason why they're best friends. Like there's something that Arnie did for him. They went through something, and then after that, it was like his friend was always going to look out for him, which is it's a very, and I think it's like the parents were much more abusive in the movie. You don't really hate. I mean, that's another thing. It's like the parents, we're supposed to just hate them right off the bat. I'm like, they're not wrong. They're kind of,
they're shitty, but they're not evil. Like
no,
they're parents, and when you're a teenager, like everything your parents do is shitty. You're like, shut up. Everything you say is wrong.
You're always yelling at me. I'm blah, blah, blah. I've done everything for 17 years.
Right.
Like at my age. And I'm like, that's nothing.
Right. Like, in most movies, the Arnie character is the side character, is the supporting character, and the lead is the John Stockwell character, Dennis. And this movie is kind of both. It's split between the two. And because of that, I don't know, we don't get like the full story. We don't get the full point of view of Dennis. We don't get the full point of view of Arnie. Like one second Arnie's a total dweeb who buys this car, and the next minute he isn't wearing his glasses anymore because I guess Christine fixes your vision.
Well, she makes him. Yeah, it's the thing is that he spends months working on it, and it's like painstaking detail. And this is also Stephen King, like, he's on some stuff and writing, and so it's like all this detail, and it's like I remember this clearly. Like his friend was noticing, like, oh, his skin is clearing up.
Yeah, he
seems more at ease. He's not stooped over with his shoulders. He walks with more confidence. He just acts with more confidence, and so people treat him differently. And he's happy for him. Like, oh, good, he's kind of finding himself.
Right.
And then Arnie turns into a psycho because it's a Stephen King story.
Yes. I do want to talk about, there is a scene before Arnie buys Christine, which is what they call the car. He doesn't buy a woman. The car is Christine.
There's no trafficking.
No trafficking that we're aware of. Arnie is like taking shop, and John Stockwell's character Dennis is like, "Where is Arnie?" And they're like, "He's in the shop. He's being bullied or whatever." So he like goes, and there's these, and I'm just grown ass men.
They're like 30.
These dudes are fully in their 30s playing out like. I realize that this is a common trope in movies about high school students, that the students are that they're played by older people. We're talking Stockard Channing and Grease age. Like these guys are
Jeff Conway. Yeah.
Yes, they are
30.
Way too old. The one guy's got like full on like man sideburns. Like he's a fucking adult. Like
William. So that's Buddy. Yes. And there's a podcast that I used to listen to called Now Playing. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. They're kind of assholes.
Yeah.
But they talked about this movie, and they called him Caveman John Travolta, which I could not get out of my head. I could not stop laughing once they said that. Because,
oh my God. That's such a good description because, okay, also there's this other movie I watched, I think last Halloween time, I watched a movie called Prom Night.
That's a great one with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, super entertaining movie. And there is a caveman John Travolta in that movie too.
It's that, or it's a Dean DeLeo from Stone Temple Pilots. He's the guitarist. Like if you put them side by side.
Oh my gosh.
I was doing Google image search, like they look like they could be twins. Like it's a little scary, but yeah, Caveman John Travolta made me laugh super hard because that is kind of that. Like you couldn't get John Travolta from Carrie.
Yes.
So we have this caveman version.
I remember
me take shop.
Me take shop. Me squish lunch. Beat up nerd. Must beat up nerd. Poor Arnie has committed the ultimate sin of being a nerd in school, and so they're beating him up. They're taking his lunch. They're pulling knives on him, and because he doesn't want to be he tells the teacher. The teacher asks him about it. He tells, and because he doesn't want to be bullied, these guys later then like fully vandalize his car. But I want to talk again about how old these people are. So once again, took my niece Lorelai to see Christine, and she leaned over to me in the theater and said, "What the fuck?" When those guys came out, she's like, "Those are not even close to students." And I was like, no, they're stupid old. So when I watched the movie yesterday, I actually recorded that scene on my phone and sent it to her, and I was like, thinking of you. Like it's so ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. But John Stockwell's character stands up for him because he is a good guy who's really nice to Arnie. And they're driving home, and Arnie sees this very old, like rusty car that's being sold by the old man whose name is Robert Blossom.
Yeah. Who's the old man in...
We just talked about it.
I know. Fuck. It was Vision Quest.
Yes.
And then he was also in Home Alone.
Yes.
He's the old man next door in Home Alone.
Yes, that's right. We just talked about him in our Vision Quest episode.
Yeah.
So there's a whole thing, like, we get Arnie being the worst negotiator of all time by saying, whatever you want for her, it's not enough. Like the worst negotiator. And buys Christine for $250 over the protest of Dennis, who's like, you could get a much better car for that kind of money. I'm like, can he?
Yeah, it's and he gets out his checkbook and writes a check for it. And he said like the guy mentions like his brother died and then his wife died, and nobody says, "Oh, sorry." Like they just like, yeah. They're
like, "Cool, let me buy your car."
And then he says the immortal line, like, "There's nothing like that smell, except for the smell of pussy."
It like comes up multiple times in the movie. It's just the like.
It's just unnecessarily graphic and
Yes.
gross
There's
because they couldn't get an R rating unless they did that, because it's not R-rated violence. It's a car.
right. They wanted to make the movie seem scarier than it would be with that R rating. So yeah, there's a lot of pussy talk. Nothing, there's the high school students, they're all the fucking worst. Like the new girl starts and they're just like instantly they want to fuck her, and gorgeous Kelly Preston is like walking around making eyes at Dennis, and he's like, no thanks.
Yeah, he's like, whatever. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Just another one like in Vision Quest, because Daphne Zuniga
right
there.
Right. And he's like, no thanks. And we get but we meet the new girl, and it's Leah. Her name is Lee, and it's played by Alexandria Paul. And I was like, okay, she's super familiar. Why do I know her? And I looked her up, and she is the Virgin Connie Swale in 1987's Dragnet. So,
I think she's from San Francisco too. If I'm not wrong.
She might be.
I think she's from I think she's from the Bay Area.
Okay.
She has a twin sister.
Well, there's a whole thing where like every dude in the school is asking her out, and she says no thanks, including Dennis. Like Dennis asks her out, and she says she's got a date, and we don't know who the date is with, and it turns out it's Arnie. She's dating Arnie because Arnie has now found this new confidence after buying and restoring Christine, but we never see the switch. It just...
No, we don't see what kind of moves he has, like what kind of... because she's... I mean, like a lot of, like you said, a lot of guys are interested in her, and why did she find him interesting? It would have been nice to see him kind of woo her, like what kind of moves, just what was, how did he get her?
Yeah,
what did he say?
Yeah, it would have put a little bit more, it would have gave us a little bit more context for that relationship, so that it would sting a little bit more when things start to really go south. If we had just had like a little bit more insight into their relationship other than making out in Christine. Yeah. And of course, Christine is truly a possessed car and gets jealous when Arnie is spending time with Lee or Dennis. Like, she's very possessive.
Yeah, she wants him all to herself. Yes. And he gets a job at the gas station or the garage station. Yeah. And his parents don't want him to buy the car, and he has this whole meltdown, and then he's like, I'm going to do it. He goes, but I need insurance. Can you sign that with me? Yeah. Because I'm only 17.
Please. Come on, you guys. Come on.
I love the woman who plays his mother. She's only supposedly like 12 years older than him in real life. God,
of course.
She's beautiful.
In real life, she's dating caveman John Travolta.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure they were all hitting on her. I am most certain of that. But we don't get anything with the parents, like what their backstory is, or why he's upset with them, or what's going on with them. He's just like, they're just disappointed in me.
Right.
That's just like the blanket statement that we're supposed to get. We're all supposed to go, yeah, and I'm like, well, what is it? What really happened? So, yeah, they're best friends, and it's hurting his friendship with him. It's hurting his relationship with his parents. He's telling people to fuck off, just storming out of the house. He's dating a girl, but as soon as they get hot and heavy at the drive-in, she feels like the car. First, she slaps the car and's like, I hate this car. She goes, don't slap her.
Yeah, she's very sensitive.
Very sensitive. And then he goes out to get candy or something like that, and she's in the car, and then she starts choking on popcorn or whatever in the car. And then somebody drags her out of her car and gives her the Heimlich maneuver, and that saves her life. And it wasn't Arnie, it was somebody else. And he's like, Arnie's all like, me mad, you're doing something with my girlfriend in your arms. And it's like, he's trying to get her to stop choking to death. And so they break up. Yeah. So she's like, all right, you're nuts. I can't deal with this.
The switch from nerdy Arnie to like incel Arnie is so abrupt, but also like the switch from hey, he just really likes his car, to everyone actively hating the car is also really abrupt. Like, it's implied that Arnie's done nothing but work and talk about this car for months, and that's why everyone's annoyed. But we didn't. The movie does a lot of telling us, but it doesn't show us.
Right. And then his friend is injured in a football game, so he's like home, just kind of hobbled around. So he has time to kind of worry about his friend and try to look out for him. And so the bullies at the shop, the teenagers,
Yes.
including
quote unquote teenagers, including
caveman John Travolta. I'm sorry, that's sticking. We've taken it over.
It's ours now.
It's ours now. We take it. That's a joke. It's ours now. So,
you don't like it? Too bad.
Too bad. They go to the garage and they beat the shit out of this car. They just like with sledgehammers. And in the book, I remember one guy took a shit on the car, the dashboard.
We don't see that, but that is mentioned.
Thankfully.
Yes, thankfully. That would have helped it get its R rating.
Yeah, I mean, they're redoing this movie, and if it's for Netflix or something, after seeing the movie Blonde, I'm wondering, like, oh my, is that the next level? Scatological, the next level?
I'm not watching. I'm skipping that. Do you think? Are they redoing Christine as a limited series, or are they gonna do a movie?
I think a movie.
Okay,
I think it's supposed to be a movie, but they do that, and so then they take off, and then Arnie and Lee make up. He calls, and they make up, and then they go back to the garage, and he sees it's all messed up, and then of course he loses his like, blah, get out of here. And so she just takes off. And then he just stares at Christine. He's like, all right, do your thing. And then she just automatically.
Yeah. That scene fascinates me because his delivery of the line and the music and the car is regenerating itself, right? And he goes, okay, show me. And the way he says it, I was like, it feels dirty. I'm like, it's like a sexual thing almost. Like, it's almost like Christine's a lady who's taking off her clothes or something.
I read that in the IMDb trivia. He said he treated her like she was a woman. And then he picked a different woman, like a fantasy woman, every time for each scene.
There you go.
So it could be like Sophia Loren or something. Right. You know what I mean? Like somebody really sexy.
Have you ever dated anyone who was really into cars?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. And it's annoying.
It's boring. It's
super boring.
I can't think of a more boring subject. I know how to drive and I can get around.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I don't know I don't know how to drive a stick shift. I've established that before.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care about anything. I just get me where I need to go. I take lifts everywhere now. Yeah. But yeah, it's a drag. And apparently it wasn't a big deal, this kind of car. What is it again? It's a 57.
Yeah, it's like a 57
Chevy?
Plymouth Fury. A 58 Plymouth Fury.
And it became a big deal after this movie.
Right.
Which is great. I mean, I think I like looking at classic.
Sure.
In Reno, the two things they're known for, they're known for bowling, believe it or not. Like, there's a big bowling championship. My parents lived near Reno.
I love to bowl.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
I was in a league.
I like bowling too.
It's super fun.
It is fun. And the classic auto show, which would just, it would be backed up for miles. And I like looking at classic cars and riding in them. That's fun. They're gigantic. Like you sit inside one of those cars. Like I now know, like, oh, this is how you made babies because it's the size of my living room.
My dad has a 1938 Chevy something. I don't remember. I'm sorry, everybody. But it's a gorgeous car. Like, I love old cars. I love to ride in them. I think they look really cool.
And I understand the craftsmanship
for sure.
and the especially the mechanics of it. And I really appreciate the patience it takes to put something like that together. Like, that's fine, but it's like a guy would be like, God, do you know a woman that's really into the housewives? Like Bravo Housewife. I mean, I'm certain it's the same. Like they're like, oh God, yeah.
I mean, I guess it's the same thing as like a dude who's really into football or whatever. It's like everyone has their thing, by the way, and
Yeah,
and if you're like someone who's super into cars, that's fine. Like, but I personally don't super care about, like, I'm not interested in all the mechanics and details and all that stuff. I just think they're pretty to look at, and I'm like, ooh, what a nice car. Bye. Like, I just want to go about my business. But I do think it's interesting that these kinds of cars are still restored and coveted. And we might have talked about this in an earlier episode, where technically, like, we really should be restoring cars from the 80s now. Like,
if you think about it,
like, we should
like
be
a DeLorean.
We should be restoring like 1985 Toyota Corollas. Like, those are the new classic cars.
Yeah, but they're so boring.
I would like one of those like wood paneled station wagons. Like, that'd be all right with me. Somebody could restore that and I would drive it.
I knew somebody who had one of those, and they don't have a lot of kick to them. They're just kind of
correct.
They're like a putt.
Yeah, they're just for like putting your kids around town.
Yeah,
basically. I think this movie ages well in the way that so many people, not you, Margo, because you're like, I don't really drive and you take lifts, people, but people who live in more like suburban areas your car is like almost like your sacred place.
Yeah.
It's like, especially like for married people and parents and things, like almost like that commute is like your like sacred time to be alone, to like listen to what you want to listen to and think about what you want to think about, and there's nobody else with you. That car time is valuable, and like cars mean a lot to people because it's like, this is my time. It's my time in this car. People love their cars.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I used to have a car. I mean, I used to drive when I lived in the Bay Area, and it was like, the stuff I had in the back seat, like it was like in case of emergency, like extra bottles of water, extra clothes, emergency flash, blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love my car.
Prepared. Yeah. Yeah, I get that, but Arnie it takes it to the next
just
level.
A little bit.
That's our whole point. And everyone's trying to tell him, and he's single focused on this thing. And then Christine really just gets pissed off after the teenagers wrecked her. So then she comes back to life, and then Arnie's asleep or something.
So I wanted to ask you, because so Christine starts running these teenagers down. She's finding them all over town and running them over, crushing them, setting them on fire, doing all
crash. I'm crushing you.
I'm crushing you.
Like the kids in the hall. I'm crushing you.
I'm crushing your head. I'm crushing your head. They film it so that the windows are really dark. You don't see that Arnie's driving. And I'm like, okay, well, the car can rebuild itself. So I was like, is the car driving itself?
I think that's what's happening.
Because then later, when Lee and Dennis are like trying to trap the car in the garage and like run it over with a bulldozer, I'm like, that's a plan, sure. Like, it's revealed that Arnie is driving, but he's so possessed at that point. And I'm like, was he driving those other times? Because he seems really shocked to learn that maybe his car was involved in those.
I think it's okay. So I'm thinking it's to the point that it's almost like he took an Ambien CR.
Yeah.
Like he's like so in another space, he's sleepwalking.
Arnie, just send angry emails like the rest of us. What do you do?
Yeah, exactly. Eat the fridge, like eat all the leftovers.
Send text your regret. What are you doing, Arnie?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Text your ex. Yeah, I don't get it, but he has a whole other thing. So he gets in the car. So I guess there's one kid, a couple of them. He runs them over. That's how he kills them. That's all a car can do. Do you remember the movie The Car? Did you ever see that?
No.
It's the 70s, and I think it's like Kyle and Kim Richards are in it. That's like one of the big.
Oh shit! I'm writing it down.
James Brolin, I think, and yeah, it's a car. Terrified me when I was a little kid.
All right.
And it's just a car that just runs people the fuck over.
Nice. It's scary movie month. I'm in. All right.
Yeah.
Writing down the car.
It's one of the trashier ones. But anyway, so Christine is possessed and Arnie is possessed because he's with Christine, and all of them, including Caveman John Travolta, spoiler, they're dispatched by Christine. That's always going to be a thing.
Make it squish now.
Go back to Welcome Back, Cotter.
Up your nose with a rubber hose, Christine.
Oh, I need to make a movie with Lily Tomlin. People will love it. That's a real pull there, guys. Sorry.
That's moment by moment?
Moment by moment.
Oh my gosh. Why do I know that?
Career. It stalled his career. It was a big deal. But back when people had a flop, it was a big deal. It was a big flop. Anyway, I like John Travolta. I don't want to.
We both do. We've talked about him on the show.
Yeah, he's very endearing.
He is.
So they get to at some point, it's like, I'm not going to stand. My watch is telling me to stand. Fuck you. I got a podcast to do.
Mind your business, Christine Watch.
Yeah, don't nag me. Don't nag me, bitch. Like at one point she breaks up with him and then he calls her a fucking bitch.
incel.
And then he picks it up the phone and goes, Lee?
Lee, come on, take me back. Come on.
Yeah. So they're at the garage, and it like kills the manager too, like that guy who's like from like the 70s and 80s, the guy who had a cigar in his mouth and would spit on the ground. Like it's every movie. And he gets killed by Christine. Like everyone's getting killed by Christine. Great soundtrack, by the way. It's really good music. It's a good use of music. I will say this, because Bad to the Bone is one of those songs that got way overplayed.
It was used, by the way, in so many trailers, like movie previews in the 80s.
Trailers, commercials, ball games.
Yes.
And I've seen George Thorogood, by the way. He's great in concert.
I'm sure he is.
He's really good. He's hilarious. And I got to tell you, it's a great way to start a movie. I was like singing along to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a good song. It's like, I think it's the first time they've played that song, and it was in this movie. It's a good way to start it. It's a great soundtrack. Anyway, so John Stockwell, is that his name?
Oh, it's Harry Dean Stanton.
No, well, he's there too.
Oh, sorry. Yes, John Stockwell is playing Dennis.
Well, we should say, sorry, Harry D. Stanton is in there, and he's investigating these, car crimes.
he's pretty quick to figure out that Christine is involved. Like he's pretty
and Arnie's
on it.
Guilty as shit.
Yes.
Yeah, like Arnie's like really.
But John Stockwell was in Top Gun, which we just did an episode on recently. As
he's moved more into, I think, writing and directing and producing. I think he did Blue Crush.
He might have. That sounds right. I also remember was 80. Maybe it was 85. He did a movie called My Science Project, which I really liked at the time, and he was like the lead in that, and I had kind of a crush on him in that movie.
Who wouldn't? He's adorable.
He's adorable. Everybody drink.
Harry Dean Stanton, who's always great at what he's doing. He always kind of also has that look about him like, really? Am I in this movie? Okay. Sure.
I'm in the killer car movie. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
He doesn't give a fuck. So he's there anyway. So in the end, they trap the car is in the garage, and they had to use a forklift to basically crush her. So it's down to Dennis and Lee crushing her. And in that way, they save Arnie.
Well, he gets impaled on like a shot.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah, the car is chasing after Lee, and the car smashes into like the office or something, and Arnie comes like kind of flying out of the windshield or something, and he's been impaled on glass, so he doesn't live, and that's.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I just watched it again last night, and I just forgot that part. Yeah. See, a lot of people die.
Yeah.
So he dies, and so Lee, and of course, they're going to be dating in like 2 seconds.
For sure.
They will be over it.
For sure. They're teenagers. They're going to be fucking in the back of a car.
There's a lot of them around them at this point.
Yeah.
They're at a junkyard at the end,
Mhm.
and she just says, "I hate rock and roll."
Yes.
And then there's some like fluttering of this garbage pile of a car.
Yeah, which is like the total like Carrie ending, right? It's like you think it's over, and then the hand comes out of the grave. Like this is the grill twitches.
It's the same thing with Friday the 13th. Like you think the movie's over, and then like he's coming out of the swamp or the ocean, the water, the lake, and he drags the woman. Everyone likes that ending. It's a great fake ending. It's a great, yeah. And that's the movie. And I'm surprised there hasn't been like 12 of them, because there's been like sloppy Stephen King sequels
For sure.
to movies like Lawnmower Man and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised there hasn't been more. I think it's a really enjoyable movie.
I'm making fun of the movie, but I actually really like this movie. I think it's super fun to watch. I like the performances in it. I know, once again, there are these holes that I wish were filled in for me, but I still think this movie is really fucking watchable, and I just like it. I like it.
It's solid. It's a solid, good movie. 1983. It just, I don't know. It just holds up for me. I forgot he died, but that's okay.
That's okay.
You can't remember everything.
No, we can't. We're too busy remembering moment by moment. We can't. we can't remember everything, y'all.
And caveman John Travolta.
Me go squish now. I did see on like the Wikipedia page that Columbia Pictures really wanted Brooke Shields as the girlfriend.
She was hot. She was like the
super hot
teen star. Yeah.
Yeah. And they also wanted Scott Baio as Arnie.
Thank God they didn't.
Oh my God. I would have been rooting the whole movie for him to get killed. So it's a totally different movie. Apparently, there was also a talk that maybe Kevin Bacon was going to be in the movie, but he decided to do Footloose instead, which
I think he did.
I think he made
fine there.
Yeah, he made the right choice, because Footloose is iconic and Kevin Bacon is delightful.
He's great in that movie.
If you're not following Kevin Bacon on TikTok, you're missing out, by the way. He's like always on his farm, like singing to animals and stuff. It's very wholesome.
Aw,
I
like wholesome. Yeah.
I love him. Do you want to hear about some other 1983 movies?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Losing It.
Oh, that's another virginity movie. There's a lot of Tom Cruise is in that.
Yeah, there's so many virginity movies in the early 80s, including Porky's 2, The Next Day. That's a thing that exists.
And those teenagers in that movie are like in their 40s.
Oh my God, they're so old. They're so old
by the second one, yeah.
I have never seen Porky's 2, The Next Day, but I have seen Porky's, the original, way too young to have seen it. And
same. And I was like, what's so funny here? What's the joke here?
I remember laughing because my dad was laughing, and I wanted him to think that I was smart. It didn't work. Also 1983, The Outsiders.
Yeah, Stay Gold, Pony Boy.
Stay Gold, Pony Boy. The Hunger.
Yeah.
That's a movie that happened.
Yeah, I liked it. It was fine. I liked The Hunger.
Cujo.
Cujo fucked me up. That story in that movie, yeah.
I'm still watching the 101 scariest movie moments on Shudder, and they just had they had a clip from Cujo, and I was like, I'm never gonna rewatch Cujo.
No, that's
never.
And yeah,
it makes me sad.
The original story's even sadder, to tell you the truth.
I was like, poor Cujo.
Yeah, the poor doggy didn't deserve. Well, the doggy didn't mean to. Yeah.
No, it's so. But I've seen it, and it's very well done. It's just some movies are not the kind I like to revisit. I'll just say that. The Right Stuff.
Yeah, long movie, but good.
Yeah. Scarface.
Scarface, yeah.
The that's the movie poster in every dude's dorm room in college. For me.
Say hello to my little friend.
So ridiculous. So ridiculous. Like every like film bro I knew in college had like a Scarface poster.
And then it was a Goodfellas.
And Goodfellas, that was one. And then eventually it became like Pulp Fiction and stuff like that.
Pulp Fiction was a big one. Yeah.
I have a framed teaser poster for Pulp Fiction. But it's in my closet. I don't have it hung up anymore, but it's still in its frame. Maybe it'll be worth something someday. Or not.
You can maybe have Quentin Tarantino come by and say, hey, is that my poster, you know?
Show me your feet and I'll sign your poster.
Show me your feet and I'll sign your poster for you, okay?
Terms of endearment.
Fucked me up.
Fucked everybody up.
That's a movie. If I need to get a good cry and access my emotions, that's what I put on.
Oh, man.
It never fails. That and purple, the color purple. Oof.
I thought you were going to say Purple Rain. No, I knew you weren't going to say
Or the Purple Rose of Cairo. Like, no, I don't cry during those.
No. Psycho 2.
Not great.
Yeah. And then the last one is, and this is just fun to say, Octopussy. Nothing beats the smell of a new car or Octopussy.
Do you want to hear about the top songs of the time?
Yeah, I do.
So it was December 9th, 1983. This movie comes out. It's also a weird time to come out. It should come out in the summer.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yes.
All right. So number two.
I'm like, this was not an Oscar contender movie. This feels like a summer drive-in or maybe Halloween movie.
Yeah, I would say like summer or fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck were people thinking?
I don't know.
All right. So number 10. So this is a really good list. Culture Club. Church of the Poison Mind.
I fucking love the Culture Club.
Culture Club. John Cougar Mellencamp. Crumbling Down. When the walls come crumbling down.
And the walls. I love John Cougar Mellencamp.
Same. Number 8, Quiet Riot. Come on, feel the noise.
I had this on cassette.
I loved the video.
Yep.
This band, Duran Duran, Union of the Snake.
Duran Duran was so insanely
teenage years.
So popular, and I knew so many girls who were like in love with Duran Duran and like got like Duran Duran like haircuts and oh boy, it
posters.
Was a thing. Yes, all of it.
Like the magazines, like all. Oh my god. This is also another one. Number 6, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, Islands in the Stream.
I love this song.
Fucking great. Okay,
I love Kenny Rogers.
Pat Benatar, Love is a Battlefield.
Pat Benatar has an amazing voice.
She's a queen. I adore her. I've seen her before with her husband. They did an acoustic tour. It was really good.
I bet that was amazing. I'm a fan.
They're gorgeous. They're gorgeous together. Okay, number 4, Daryl Hall and John Oates, Say It Isn't So.
I had this one on cassette too.
Yep. Billy Joel, number 3, Uptown Girl. Couldn't escape this song.
Oh no, you could not.
That was like our moms loved that.
Yeah,
Mom was like,
that was.
Ooh.
No, thank you.
Number 2, Lionel Richie, All Night Long. Great song.
I love that song.
I'm sorry, you're an asshole if you can't even like love a part of this song.
I remember going to a bar with some friends and they had a jukebox and I put this song on because I thought it would clear out the bar. Like we would get a seat. And it did not. In fact, the bar went bananas and like people were like, everyone started dancing. And I was like, there you go. Look at all these Lionel Richie fans. You never know.
And number 1, Sonia? Dun, Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson, Say, Say, Say.
Oh,
Remember that song? Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, Paul went through a very cheesy phase in the 80s.
Yeah, it was like Ebony and Ivory and Say. It's
Ugh.
like
No more lonely nights.
no more lonely
Lonely
nights.
nights.
Nah. Let's take a break and then we'll talk about what else we're dorking out about. My friend, what else are you dorking out about?
Bravo TV on Wednesday delivered like dominoes.
Mhm.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and then we had the premiere of the new season of Salt Lake City. Did you see it?
Oh, yes, I did. I was texting Margo like a couple of rando thoughts, but I wanted to hold a lot of them back until we got to speak.
It was really good.
Yeah.
I think it's Emmy worthy. I'm not kidding you. That first opening segment where it's all basically like their audition footage or whatever it was, they're just kind of, yeah, we're all friends and we're just all nice Mormon women and we live in Utah. Jen Shaw's like, I make a lot of money from multi-level marketing.
Yep.
And
It's
then
so good.
like, and it's like only 3 years later, right?
Everything's different.
Everything is different. And it was a chef's kiss. It was such a good
The
episode.
editors of The Real House, like I'm going to lump them all in here because like I don't watch all of them, but
Right.
the editors dig deep and find the best stuff to cut into modern, like their new stuff, to remind
Yes.
you where these people, first of all, calling them out as hypocrites when they are hypocrites, but
Yes.
just showing how far they've come, how far they've fallen, however you want to think of it. And I'm just so happy it's back. I'm so happy.
It's insane. Like there's a woman who was like, I got a trial coming up.
Yeah.
And then it was postponed. And then she pleaded guilty. And the whole time she's like, I'm innocent. Why doesn't anybody feel sorry for? And it's her husband's birthday party. And she still makes it all about her.
Right. That's why I texted
and Coach
you.
Shaw looked like 10 years older.
That dude is a saint.
Yeah.
A saint. I'm like, she's off the chain all the time, like just all the time, creating all kinds of drama. Every time she wants to throw a party for him, every time she throws any kind of party, it turns into a fucking shit show of like drama. And he even asks her, like, please, like, I don't want that. Like, please, let's not do that. And it's like it's going to happen anyway. It's going to happen.
And it's a friend of hers, friend in quotes.
Yeah.
And the friend in the end turns out to be someone that like gives it to her. But it's so funny because she's like, because nobody wants to do, so people keep doing these Great Gatsby parties and everyone hates a Great Gatsby party. Like
so fucking
no one
cliche.
looks good in the A-line dresses and everyone's like, it's a cliche and literally every franchise has done it. So she's like, hey honey, you really love the movie Harlem Nights. And you could tell on his face, he's like, I do. Like,
sure,
okay,
sure, I do.
Honey. And then he's like, you know where that takes place? She's like, yeah. She goes, we're in Utah. Where are we going to find all the black people to be in this party? And she finds them.
Coach Shaw's not wrong.
No, it's. I'm sorry, those of you that aren't into it, but it's bananas.
It's so bananas, and they just
so bananas.
They are all just like so clueless, so incapable of reading a room. Like, but that's why they're cast, by the way. That's what the show is. And like, it's super entertaining and I love it. And I'm happy it's back. And I also texted you that Meredith she's had like so much plastic surgery. She's definitely done interviews where I'm like, girl, what'd you do to your face? But
I think she needs to stop.
Yeah. But she looked beautiful at that party. Beautiful.
I think it's just, can you imagine cameras following you 12 to 14 hours
Oh my God.
a day?
It shows every flaw, like the toll it must take.
Dysmorphia.
Yes, for sure.
It would take, I think, and because they all wind up, the husbands, everyone winds up getting Botox.
That's true.
I think anyone would be, really self-conscious of their appearance. But yeah, you could watch these shows and it's just like, holy shit, between one season and another, people lose a lot of weight. There's a lot of differences between them, but It's trashy, but it's so much fun, and
It's so much fun.
it's so much stupid fun. And I'm trying to think. There was like there's the Great British Bake Off.
Is back. So delightful.
So delightful and so good.
Did you make it through Blonde?
I did. So yes, I did make it through Blonde. It's rough. Did you start it or no?
I don't think I'm going to. I've heard we talked about it in a bonus episode for What a Creep.
Yeah.
And I've read some like reviews and stuff, and I'm like, I don't think this one's for me. So I think I might sit this one out.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before, I'll just say it really quickly, that there's like, if you go to Amazon, there's a free version of the 2000 TV movie that came out. It's 2 parts. And it's pretty much the same thing. It's just there's a lot of it's just graphic nudity or semi-nudity that just for graphic acts that just not necessary. There's no joy with it. And people have been saying like, where's the scene of Marilyn when she went? Did you just see the Drunk History where about Ella Fitzgerald? And she was banned from playing music clubs in New York because it was segregated. And Marilyn Monroe said to this one club, "What if I go and I sit in the front row every night for like a week? Will you hire her? Will you?" And they said, "Yeah, of course." So she did that. She showed up and they brought the press, and this woman that like skyrocketed her career. So she wasn't always just like a sad sack, you know.
That's not the movie they want, right? I did read an interview with the director. Maybe I read it in Vulture, and he doesn't seem to like Marilyn Monroe very much. And I'm like, why would you even make this movie? It seems like. And then I think you're the one who mentioned to me that this is like creative nonfiction, right? It's like not even super accurate. So it's like clearly like projecting these things onto Marilyn Monroe that may not necessarily be true. And I'm like, why don't you just make a fiction movie then? Yeah. Like, I don't need to see like Marilyn Monroe being treated like shit. And I don't know. It doesn't sound like something I want to watch. So.
It's not fun. Yeah. It's not, you know, there's no joy in it. And there's times where it is, I really love, what's the movie I'm thinking of? Black and white. She plays the girl named Sugar. It's a classic. God damn it. Jack Lemmon. Yeah. Tony Curtis.
Some Like It Hot.
Thank you.
Yes.
There's scenes of that. And Jack Lemmon's son, who was on TV in the 90s.
I remember.
He had a couple of siblings. Yeah, he's handsome. He looks just like his father, and he plays his father.
Love Jack Lemmon.
We love Jack Lemmon, yeah.
Big forever crush.
Yeah.
On Jack Lemmon.
His son looks just like him, and so he plays him but Marilyn in here, like, I guess she did multiple takes. She was unhappy. She was on pills, but it's like she's never had a good moment in Hollywood. Like, why did she keep doing it? It's like, I don't know. It's very hard to watch, is my point.
All right. I just can't. There's too many other things to watch.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you got to watch So I went back because of we did an episode for What a Creep about Stanford White, and so I went back and rewatched The Gilded Age because they're filming in my neighborhood, Sonia. I forgot to tell you. That's amazing. Yeah, they had a bunch of signs up, and they're filming right now. And Stanford White, was a big old creep and a big old architect in New York City. He was 2 in 1.
He had it all, ladies.
Yes, exactly. And it was just interesting. And it's just a great cast, and that's what I watched for comfort.
Yeah, I still haven't watched it yet. It is on my list, though. I did go to the theater and saw Don't Worry, Darling. The Totally Bananas press tour clearly worked on me because I had to rush right out and see it.
And you liked it?
And I liked it. I think that there are huge plot holes for sure. Like when the movie was over, I was like, what about? I had many questions, many questions, but I think I was interested and I liked it. And I think Florence Pugh's amazing in it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great. Like the set design is great. Like the houses, the clothes, like the like 50s aesthetic to it. Like all of those things are my jam. Like I like stuff like that. So I just couldn't stop staring at the costumes and even like the fucking dishes and the house and all that stuff. Like that stuff is like porn to me. So I like that stuff. I think Chris Pine is awesome. Harry Styles is fine in it. Like I think it could have benefited from an actor with a little bit more power. And he doesn't have that. But he's super cute. Like he's cute and he has good chemistry with Florence Pugh. So their coupling makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that I think a different actor, I know like Shia LaBeouf was originally cast and I'm like, he wouldn't have worked for me either. Just because I'm like, him? What? Ew. But like, that's a personal preference.
What?
Ew. Like that's personal preference. But I thought it was good. It's like a 3 out of 5 stars movie. Like,
will you watch it again?
Yeah, I will actually. I think I'll stream it when it's on whatever, I'm not going to pay to watch it again. But
right.
But I'll
if
watch
it's on
it.
Netflix
Yeah.
or something, you'll watch it. Okay.
I totally will. I think it's worth it. I liked it. And I think you and I talked about this off mic where I feel like if this was a male director, the press around the movie and the reviews of the movie wouldn't be as hard as they are on Olivia Wilde. Like, by the way, I think she's a garbage person. Like,
oh, wow. That's a hot take.
Like she cheated on her husband. She was hooking up with Harry Styles on the set. I was like, that's terrible. Like she was married with children. Like I've made it very clear that like cheating's not my fave. But I don't know the ins and outs of all their relationships. That's just the impression I'm gathering from that.
That's the impression you get.
It's the impression.
That's the 90s song.
Like she's probably not a very nice person, but I think she's a talented director. I think Booksmart is funny as shit. And
That's a great movie.
And if you haven't seen Booksmart, go back and watch it because it's really, really, really great. And this is a very different movie than that. And I think visually the movie looks pretty good. And like but like I said, there's huge plot holes in it. And that sometimes took me out of the movie. And when it was over, I felt like I had more questions than answers, which is not my favorite thing. Some people like that shit. They like to like go on the internet and fill in the blanks for themselves. I feel like I shouldn't have to do that. But I still, I'll watch it again.
All right.
So that's a quasi recommendation, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm like, what else am I watching? Like, I think I already mentioned I'm still watching the 101 Scariest Movie Moments because I'm just excited for October.
And they get some great recommendations.
I've been adding things to my list. It's on Shudder. And Shudder just added another documentary series called, oh, God damn it. The one, I have to Google it. I'm sorry, because I want to make sure I get it right. That I can't wait to watch, but my kid is here and he won't. Queer for Fear is what it's called.
Ooh.
And it's a documentary series about the history of the LGBTQ plus community in horror and thriller genres. That is 100% my jam, and I'm going to be watching the shit out of that.
I'm going to watch that right after I watch Captain Underpants tonight. I think that's the perfect combo.
Double feature.
I think I figured out my Saturday night viewing.
I'm looking for, by the way, if anyone has recommendations of like movies that are like scary movies, quote unquote scary movies that are appropriate for like an 11-year-old, send them my way because Calvin I think is ready for some of these. And
not The Shining, of course.
Not The Shining, please, everybody. Honestly, maybe Christine would have been fine. Although there's a lot of use of the word pussy, and
there's a lot of
I can't have my 11-year-old going to school and being like, these crayons smell good, almost as good as pussy.
Your ex would have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, all of a sudden I lose custody.
Womp, womp.
Wah, wah. So maybe not Christine, but if there's other ones, please, y'all send them my way. I appreciate it. I'm really glad that we finally talked about Christine. I was happy to do this.
It was fun. It was super fun.
Where can people find you on the internet, Margo?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fitchick for Twitter and Instagram. My site is brooklynfitchick.com, and I'm at Margo Donahue on the TikTok.
And her book is coming out soon.
Yes,
I pre-ordered mine. I got my notification that it's coming to me. I can't wait. Her book, Filmed in Brooklyn, is coming out very soon. I can't wait. I'm so proud of you, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. It's you could pre-order it anywhere right now, and I have these little fancy stickers. I can sign it for you and I'll mail it out to you. It's available in the States right now only, but hopefully it'll be in a digital form soon.
Yes. So order your copy. You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, where I'm there to ruin it for the kids. If you like dorking out and you want to give us a 5-star review somewhere, we would very much appreciate it. It cancels out the 1-star reviews we get from dudes who go, lady hurt my feelings, 1 star, would not recommend. And if you
signed Caveman John Travolta.
Signed Caveman John Travolta, she hurt my fee-fees. Me, feelings hurt, 1 star. If you have a if we take requests, so please send us, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Dorking Out Show. You can email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com. We take requests, send them our way. We love it. It makes it easy for us to pick something to talk about. So please do it.
And I'm looking forward to next week.
Yes. Do you want to tell them what we're going to talk about next week as a preview?
It's a preview that we don't normally do this, but if you want to prep for next week, so it's going to be, this is also, I talk about it in my book, and this is one of my favorite places that one of the first places I looked for, so I found film locations in Brooklyn, and it's the Sentinel, and I found the Sentinel home is in Brooklyn Heights.
Nice.
And it's 1977, I think. It's Christina Raines. When you look at the cast, Jeff Goldblum, Jerry Orbach.
What?
Beverly D'Angelo.
What?
It's full of people that you're going to be like, what? Chris Sarandon.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a horror movie about a woman who lives in an evil building. It's $400 a month. I would take it in a second. Mm-hmm. I'll handle the dead bodies that show up in the middle of the night. Spoiler. But anyway, we're talking about that. That's next week. It's the Sentinel, and it's really, really great, really fun, cheesy 70s apartment evil
I can't
movie.
Wait. I have never seen it, but you've mentioned it to me before, and it's been on my list. So I'm excited to have something that's encouraging me to watch it. I'm wondering, does that apartment smell like pussy?
I don't care. We'll talk about it next week. We're going to have a whole thing about this because it's going to be really